Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on a guest from the Haven Project, their executive director. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So quickly, can you just introduce yourself and say a little bit about what the Haven Project is?
Yeah, so my name's Tracey Sherrern. I'm the executive director of the Haven Project, and I've been with the Haven Project for about 2 years now.
Great. And you have, I think it's 6, you said, areas of focus within the project that you talk about a lot.
Yeah, so the Haven Project is a nonprofit, so we're a 501c3, and we've been a recognized nonprofit for since 2011. And we are located on 57 Munroe Street in Lynn, right above Land of 1,000 Hills Cafe, and we help homeless youth ages 17 to 24 find housing. And we do that through 6 focus areas, like you mentioned. With the first obviously being housing. Right now it's unattainable, unaffordable, and the youth who are living on their own and are housing unstable, maybe don't have a background education to get into college without help. They need support, and we're there to do that for them.
I mean, I have the background, and I'm very privileged that I do, and even I'm like, I couldn't afford anything in this market.
Yep. Yeah, everything, obviously with inflation, has made it just so far out of reach for this age group. I mean, like I said, if youth are walking out, if they don't have a high school diploma or a college degree or any kind of technical experience or background, then they're already so far behind. And if they're trying to apply for that and they don't know how to do their FAFSA form, who's going to help them do that? I at 17 years old, if I was on the street or homeless, I would have never been able to do that on my own. We don't expect them to, which is why we're there, and we try to do our best to help.
And one kind of unique thing you do is you mentioned the coffee shop you're above. That's part of a job training program that you do for youth as well. Correct?
Yeah, so Land of 1,000 Hills Cafe is at 61 Munroe Street, which is just below us, and the sole purpose of Land of 1,000 Hills is to be used as a job training program. So any given time, the youth behind the counter could be a client of ours. We do have baristas and a cafe manager, so it doesn't mean that they will be, but they're usually there working, cleaning, and behind the bar. We will also simultaneously work with them to get their resume build, job training skills, making sure that they're going to mock interviews, to real interviews, getting all of the clothing they need for that. So
you kind of help get them out of the catch-22 of, if you want experience, you need experience.
Right. It's a little different than the housing market. The job market right now is a bit better, and we've had quite the boom in the job market. So, not to say that it is kind of helpful to have that be there. Youth are not having that hard of a time getting a job. They have a hard time holding on to it if they're not housing stable, because they're possibly couch surfing or in a shelter and don't have a vehicle most likely. So all of those things are stacked against them. We'll work with youth who might come into us and not have an ID, which is a huge barrier. If they don't have an ID, they can't open a bank account, and there's all of these things that stack against them. So, and then there's further down the line a youth who may have just lost their job because they couldn't get there regularly because they're in a homeless situation. So, we certainly try to help with understanding that homelessness is so complex. There's so many things that go into it. It's not just housing. And like we said, with the 6 focus areas, we'll focus on housing, employment, health, community, making sure that the youth have social events, that we can have them attend and actually feel like a part of our community, which is huge for us.
And you mentioned a little bit for some of your clients, so you do different client events with them where they get to socialize with each other?
Yeah, so a lot of our clients they get to know each other by coming in. Some of them already know each other because they've referred each other to our program, which is actually just one of our favorite things about it, is getting a referral from a youth who had a good experience. I mean, that's you can't get better than that, really. But yeah, we host client events. We have drop-in centers twice a week. So in the afternoon, youth can come in and have a hot meal, which we're always looking for donations for those meals. And we, have tie-dye events. We'll have karaoke nights, making sure that they have that piece of their week they're looking forward to, because everyone needs that.
Everyone needs that. Look forward to that socializing too. That's also so important. And a big event you have coming up in June is a kickoff for a Catalyst housing project.
Yeah, so we've talked about the first 2 floors of our building. So the 3rd and the 4th floor, we are going to be building housing for homeless youth. It's the next step for us as an organization. We know that without permanent supportive housing, we're not going to be able to make the change that we want to make, so we're building it, which sounds simple. It's not. It's a huge project, and it's going to be 23 housing units for homeless youth. And yeah, we're going to have a kickoff party in June, on June 15th at Mission on the Bay in Swampscott.
You said it may not be simple, but you're doing it. You saw a hole and you said, we're going to find a way to do this for them, which is incredible.
Thank you. It's been 5 years in the making. It's been a lot of back and forth, but our hope is not just to stop there either, is to try and get more transitional crisis housing units for youth like this, so that we have a place for them to go immediately, and we have services to support them along the way, and we have the ultimate permanent supportive housing to have a long-term setup for them. So that's the hope.
And how could people and youth who need you maybe learn a little bit more about your services?
They can, if anyone wants to learn more about us, we have coffee chats that we try to set up that are monthly, and they can sign up for our newsletter. They can go to our website. They can reach out. We are always at the cafe, so the staff work right upstairs, and we're always in the cafe as well. So they can reach out or they can give us a call and set up a time to meet if they want to talk more about youth homelessness. Myself and all the staff at the Haven Project are always looking to sit down and talk to people about this, because it's not something that is on people's minds. We helped 283 homeless youth last year. Wow. And that's a lot more youth than people think are actually out there struggling like this. I just think it's not on people's radar, and it wouldn't be unless they were dealing with it in their own life, which is normal. But it's just such an under-the-wire problem, and really we're just trying to bring awareness to it. So anybody who wants to reach out about it, I'm more than happy to sit and have a cup of coffee at our cafe.
Mm-hmm. I've been to the cafe before. It's really nice. It's really good.
Thanks. So. Yeah, it is good coffee. It's a social enterprise, so all of the funds from the cafe fund the Haven Project. It comes to us. And we're part of a franchise, Land of 1,000 Hills, so all of the coffee is ethically sourced from Africa, and it's just actually really good too, I agree.
It is. And so that's your big thing. In terms of, when you think about future planning, you said you don't want to stop there at the housing. What else have you been thinking about future-wise?
We've been looking towards options for youth shelters. We've been looking at transitional housing, crisis transitional housing, and rapid rehousing. Those are all HUD term, right? Those are all government terms, but really we are just looking to see how can we build that crisis intervention, whether it's a shelter or whatever it is, to have a place for the youth to stay temporarily while we are helping them find a place to stay longer term, because we know that that's not a housing solution, but we know we have so many youth on the street every single night that we could help.
Providing them that first stepping stone.
Yeah, and the supportive services to go along with it. I think part of what is so important for us as an agency is not just giving the opportunity, but helping them make the most of that opportunity and supporting them through all of that to make sure that they actually are able to succeed from that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And one other quick question, I can tell how passionate you are about it, and I probably should ask this before, but how did you actually originally get involved in the Haven Project?
Yeah, I am. I know I could talk. That's why I say people should just come down to the cafe. I could talk about it all day, and I do. But I am from Lynn, so I'm originally from Lynn. I grew up here, and my family's still here. It's still like near and dear to my heart. We don't just serve Lynn youth, but we're a Lynn-based organization. So we serve youth throughout the Lower North Shore area. So any homeless youth struggling in this area, we will help. But being from Lynn and seeing this problem firsthand, I worked at the schools, the Lynn schools, and I worked as the homeless liaison for 6 years. So I saw how many youth, we have the highest number of homeless youth, registered homeless youth in Massachusetts right now. And I think that's just, our district does a great job of identifying youth and referring them for help. And so we just have a good system in this city and a good setup. What we don't have, and what really nowhere has, is the support to go along with that, which is what we're really trying to continue to build.
Mm-hmm. You said you could talk about it all day. We'll have to wrap up in a minute. Is there anything I hadn't asked you about, or anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I think that we cover most of it.
Great. Sounds good. And I want to thank you again for coming on to talk about it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Always. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we will see you next week with more guests.